Why is everyone leaving Asia? From bustling tech hubs to ancient cities steeped in culture, millions of people, from all walks of life, are packing up and saying goodbye to the very countries they once called home. In 2025, the exodus from Asia has reached a breaking point. The numbers are staggering, and the stories behind them are even more revealing. What's driving this mass departure? Is it political instability, environmental decline, unchecked corruption, or something even deeper and more systemic? You might think of Asia as booming, but behind the skyscrapers and development headlines is a harsh truth. People are fleeing, and the reasons might shock you. In today's video, we're diving into the 10 Asian countries where everyone is packing their bags and leave. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more engaging content. Number 10. India. India is experiencing an alarming brain drain. According to the Lowy Institute's 2025 findings, over 2.5 million skilled professionals left India between 2020 and 2025. We're talking engineers, doctors, IT specialists, the very people driving the country's economic engine. Why are they leaving? It's a mix of relentless job competition, lack of infrastructure, and growing frustration with corruption and red tape. Young Indians are finding better opportunities in the US, Canada, Australia, even Eastern Europe. And here's the kicker. India ranks among the top 5 nations globally losing millionaires in 2025, according to Outbound Investment. That's not just workers, that's wealth. So the question isn't just who is leaving India, it's what's being left behind. Is India's population boom pushing people out, or is it something deeper? What do you think? Stay tuned as we continue this countdown. The next country might surprise you. Number 9. Pakistan. Pakistan is facing a silent but powerful exodus. In 2025, over 800,000 Pakistanis have already left the country in search of better jobs, education, and stability abroad. And most of them? They're skilled professionals. Doctors, engineers, IT experts, the very people the country desperately needs to retain. The problem? Crippling inflation, political chaos, and limited career growth have driven many to believe there's no future at home. According to the Bureau of Immigration and Overseas Employment, Pakistan is losing its brightest minds at an accelerating pace, with more than 90% of immigrants headed for the Gulf, the UK, and North America. And this isn't just about job seekers. Even university graduates are leaving immediately after finishing school, bypassing local opportunities entirely. This is a ticking time bomb for Pakistan's development. With fewer skilled workers at home and no meaningful plan to reverse the trend, Pakistan could face a deep economic vacuum, one that could take decades to refill. Is Pakistan losing its future generation? Would you stay or leave? Let us know. Number 8. Philippines. The Philippines has long been known as one of the world's top labor-exporting nations. But in 2025, the numbers are breaking records. Over 2.3 million Filipinos are currently working overseas, and remittances, which make up nearly 9% of the country's GDP, remain one of its economic lifelines. So why is everyone still leaving? Low wages at home, limited career advancement, and chronic underemployment. Even skilled professionals like nurses, teachers, and seafarers are opting for contracts in Europe, the Middle East, and the US. According to the Philippine Overseas Employment Administration, POEA, outbound migration increased by 18% this year alone. And with inflation rising and job creation stagnant, the trend shows no sign of slowing down. The cost? A growing brain drain that's hollowing out vital industries, especially healthcare, education, and engineering, and leaving the country increasingly dependent on foreign economies to sustain itself. If the Philippines can't reverse this mass talent flight, the consequences for its long-term development could be staggering. Why are so many Filipinos looking abroad for better lives? Drop your opinion below. Number 7. Malaysia. Malaysia doesn't usually make global headlines when it comes to mass immigration. But in 2025, that silence is dangerously misleading. Tens of thousands of young professionals, especially from booming sectors like tech, finance, and healthcare, are quietly packing up and heading abroad. And they're not looking back. So, what's driving them away? In one word, frustration. Young Malaysians are grappling with stagnating wages, painfully slow job mobility, and worsening political gridlock that offers little hope for reform. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, over 1 million Malaysians are now living overseas, and the number has surged dramatically in just the past 3 years. Many are finding new opportunities in Singapore, Australia, Canada, and the US, where their talents are in high demand. The government has tried to stem the tide. Programs like Malaysia at Heart and digital nomad visas were meant to lure them back. But in 2025, even the most optimistic policymakers are sounding the alarm. Brain drain is not just continuing, it's accelerating. And unlike a political scandal or short-term financial crisis, this slow-motion departure is harder to detect, harder to reverse, and far more damaging in the long term. Businesses are feeling the crunch. From software startups in Kuala Lumpur to public hospitals in Penang, the shortage of skilled labor is starting to disrupt growth in services. Meanwhile, families are growing apart, split between generations and continents, as young professionals seek lives elsewhere. Malaysia's economy risks a hollowed-out middle, and without a strategy to retain or replace this lost talent, the quiet exit could become a full-blown crisis in the years ahead. Has Malaysia lost its charm, or are people just chasing bigger dreams? What's your take? Before we dive deeper, give that like button a tap. It really helps push this video out to more people. Number 6. Vietnam. Vietnam has long enjoyed the title of Asia's rising star. Booming cities, double-digit economic growth, and a vibrant youthful population. But in 2025, the country faces an unexpected and deeply troubling twist. It has become one of Asia's biggest exporters of skilled talent. According to the Ministry of Labor, over 120,000 Vietnamese workers left the country last year alone to pursue jobs in Japan, South Korea, and across Europe. And while better salaries are part of the story, they're far from the whole picture. Many cite harsh working conditions, limited career advancement, soaring costs of living in Vietnamese cities, and intense pressure to support extended families as top reasons for leaving. The ripple effects are mounting. Entire university graduating classes are skipping local job markets and applying directly for international placements. Government scholarship recipients, once expected to return, are staying abroad instead. Vietnamese universities are even reporting a drop in local enrollments as students increasingly prioritize foreign degrees and education paths that lead to permanent residency overseas. On the economic front, the damage is growing. Factories and export hubs in cities like Ho Chi Minh and Da Nang are reporting severe shortages of mid-level management and skilled technicians. Meanwhile, the fallout from U.S. tariff threats and global inflation has squeezed industries and triggered mass layoffs, further incentivizing outward migration. It's a painful irony. Vietnam spent decades building a workforce that turned it into an export powerhouse. But now, it's exporting the very people who made that miracle possible. And without immediate intervention, Vietnam may face not just a talent shortage, but a reversal of everything that made its economy the envy of Southeast Asia. Is Vietnam's economic rise leaving its people behind? Would you leave? Before we dive into number 5, quick heads up. If you're hooked on stories like this, you'll love what I share on YouTube Peaks. From behind-the-scenes research to early topic drops, it's where the real deep dives happen. Links below. Come join the Inside Circle. Number 5. Indonesia. Indonesia is bleeding talent, and the wound is getting deeper by the day. In 2025, the country is witnessing a disturbing surge in the outflow of its most skilled minds. Engineers, medical professionals, academics, and tech specialists are all joining the growing ranks of Indonesians choosing to build their futures elsewhere. Many are fleeing the country for Singapore, Australia, the United States, and even the Gulf states. According to recent data from the Inquirer, a staggering 58% of Indonesia's skilled workers are now considering permanent relocation. That's not a statistic, it's a red flag. But the issue cuts far beyond paycheck sizes. Young professionals cite chronic government corruption, sluggish bureaucracy, outdated infrastructure, limited research funding, and a tech ecosystem that punishes innovation. Many feel there's no room to grow. The very people who should be launching Indonesia into the future are instead buying one-way tickets out. What was once hailed as a youth-powered economic engine is now idling, as the core of its labor force gets hollowed out. This talent bleed is devastating the domestic economy. Sectors like healthcare, education, and engineering are already reporting major shortages. The private sector is scrambling to stay afloat, but without local expertise, companies are losing their competitive edge. Foreign investors are starting to look elsewhere, worried they won't find enough homegrown talent to scale their operations. Meanwhile, inequality is deepening. Urban centers are becoming increasingly stratified, and rural areas feel entirely abandoned. The brain drain isn't just a crisis, it's a slow-motion implosion of potential. Indonesia's loss is becoming the world's gain, but the cost to its national future may be irreversible if something doesn't change fast. With so many leaving, is Indonesia failing its youth? Tell us what you think. Number 4. Thailand. Thailand is facing a very different kind of exodus, and this one is quietly shaking the pillars of its economy. In 2025, Thailand is projected to lose 15,000 millionaires, placing it among the top 10 countries globally for high-net-worth individual NWI migration, according to research from Outbound Investment. But these aren't just wealthy tourists or bored retirees. They're influential investors, startup founders, and legacy business owners uprooting their lives and fortunes for places like Australia, the UAE, Canada, and the United States. So, why are Thailand's wealthiest fleeing en masse? The reasons are layered: spiraling political uncertainty, fears of wealth taxation, instability in property markets, and concerns over the long-term value of the Thai baht. Add in heightened crackdowns on financial freedoms and expanding state surveillance, and many elites are choosing to cash out while they still can. The consequences are mounting fast. Their departure is triggering job losses in private services, cuts in luxury spending, and the collapse of high-end real estate markets. Bangkok's premium property sector has seen a 21% decline in foreign purchases just this year alone, with several major condo developments now sitting half empty. Worse yet, the exodus is leaving a leadership vacuum across finance, tech, and manufacturing. Family-run empires are dissolving, capital is drying up, and Thailand's middle class, once aspiring to emulate the success of these millionaires, is left grappling with stagnation. This isn't just a problem for the rich. It's a ticking economic time bomb for the entire nation. When the top 1% pack their bags, they don't just take money, they take influence, investment, and direction. And Thailand, it seems, is being left behind to pick up the pieces. Is Thailand's tourism image hiding a bigger crisis? Would you move away? Number 3. Cambodia. Cambodia is facing an accelerating crisis, one that's emptying classrooms, clinics, and tech hubs all at once. In 2025, the country is experiencing one of Southeast Asia's most severe brain drains. It's not just a trickle, it's a wave. Skilled professionals, university graduates, and even entire families are departing in record numbers. Why? Because staying no longer feels like survival, let alone success. A shocking 1.3 million Cambodians now live abroad, and their remittances account for nearly 6% of the country's GDP. That's more than just economic support. It's a social safety net that keeps entire communities afloat. But the cost is steep. Hospitals are losing their best doctors, leaving rural areas dangerously underserved. Schools lack qualified teachers, and the tech sector is struggling to find engineers who stay longer than a few months. The country is hollowing out from the inside, one plane ticket at a time. And while Phnom Penh is trying to respond with modest reforms and retention incentives, the allure of better pay, job security, and modern infrastructure in countries like South Korea, Japan, and the US is hard to beat. Even more concerning, Cambodia's youth are growing up expecting to leave. For many, migration isn't a last resort, it's the goal. If the nation can't change course soon, it risks becoming a place where its future is built abroad, not at home. Without real systemic reform and a clear roadmap for opportunity, Cambodia may soon be a nation of memories, not momentum. Are Cambodians escaping poverty or political pressure? Comment your view. Number 2. Myanmar. In Myanmar, the crisis isn't just economic, it's existential. Since the military coup in 2021, more than 1.5 million citizens have fled, and by 2025, that number is climbing fast. The once vibrant hope for democratic progress has been crushed under the weight of political violence, collapsing institutions, and deepening fear. What's driving people out isn't just a lack of jobs, it's the threat to their very lives. Doctors are being conscripted, students are being arrested, dissenters are being silenced, and families are being torn apart. The result? A mass exodus. The Burmese diaspora is expanding across the globe, from neighboring Thailand and Malaysia to far-flung nations like Australia and the United States. These aren't just political activists, they're medical professionals, teachers, tech workers, and engineers. In other words, the very people who could rebuild Myanmar are the ones who've been forced to run. At home, the situation is dire. Inflation is out of control, foreign investment is dried up, jobs are disappearing, And with international sanctions tightening, economic collapse seems almost inevitable. The country is losing not just its economy, but its future. Myanmar is turning into a place people only talk about in past tense. Every day, more of its population chooses flight over fight. Not because they don't care, but because they're exhausted. Unless there's a radical change, Myanmar risks becoming a nation defined not by its potential, but by its escape. With the chaos unfolding, do you blame people for leaving Myanmar? Share your thoughts. Number 1. Bangladesh. It's official. Bangladesh is reaching a boiling point, and people are leaving in record numbers. Behind the packed markets and crowded cities, a quiet crisis is unfolding. With over 170 million people crammed into a country the size of Iowa, Bangladesh is now experiencing one of the largest outflows of skilled and unskilled labor in Asia. What's driving it? A perfect storm of rising inflation, youth unemployment, climate displacement, and political frustration. In 2025, nearly 1.2 million Bangladeshis are expected to migrate abroad, with Gulf states, Southeast Asia, and even the US becoming major destinations. But it's not just for jobs anymore. It's about survival. Massive flooding, fueled by climate change, is displacing tens of thousands every year. Entire villages in coastal districts like Satkhira and Khulna are vanishing underwater, leaving families with nothing but a suitcase and hope. Even the educated elite are jumping ship. Doctors, engineers, IT professionals. Many are applying for student or work visas at an unprecedented rate. Why? Because the country's infrastructure isn't keeping up. Rolling blackouts, hospital shortages, and crumbling education systems are pushing the middle class to escape while they still can. And yet, Bangladesh's economy is technically growing. So why the mass exodus? Because growth on paper doesn't translate to security in real life. For many Bangladeshis, the promise of progress feels like a lie, and migration is the only way out. Why is Bangladesh at the top of the list? Again, is this the biggest warning sign yet? Behind the glittering skylines and booming city centers, many Asian countries are facing a hidden emergency. Their best and brightest are walking away. Whether it's poverty, corruption, lack of opportunity, or sheer desperation, millions are making the same choice, to leave home in search of something better. What does this mean for Asia's future? It means a shrinking talent pool, weakened economies, and a widening brain drain that could take decades to reverse. It means schools with no teachers, hospitals with fewer doctors, startups with no coders, and cities with dreams left unfulfilled. But it doesn't have to end this way. These nations have the potential, the people, and the power to turn things around, if leaders act fast. The question is, will they? What do you think? Are we witnessing a temporary shift, or is this the beginning of something much bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit subscribe for more deep dive analysis, and join us next time on Globe Discoveries. Thanks for watching.